There's a strange electricity in the air whenever Amy Slaton's name trends again. It's not just gossip. It's fascination, the kind that lives at the crossroads between empathy and curiosity. For years, Amy Slaton's life has unfolded before millions of eyes. Not through fairy tales, but through the raw, unfiltered honesty of pain, laughter, and public rebirth. She's been mocked, praised, misunderstood, and adored, sometimes all within the same hour. And yet, somehow, she keeps showing up, not as a performer, but as a survivor. Today, that survivor stands once again in the center of a digital storm. But this time, the noise isn't about her weight loss. It isn't about her sister Tammy's health. It isn't even about her show. It's about love, more specifically, the man beside her. When Amy posted that first glimpse of her new boyfriend online, the internet did what the internet always does. It erupted. The picture wasn't glamorous, just two people smiling into a simple moment. But simplicity rarely stays innocent online. Comments poured in like rain hitting tin. Sharp, echoing, relentless. Some were filled with joy. She looks happy again. Others not so kind. Too soon, Amy. And of course the whispers. Who is he really? For someone who's lived half her life under public scrutiny, Amy should have been used to it. But this felt different. This time, it wasn't about her past. It was about her heart. Because if there's one thing people forget, it's that fame doesn't make your heart less fragile. It just makes every crack more visible. Amy Slaton wasn't supposed to become a reality TV star. At least not the way the world imagines stars. She never asked for the red carpets, the interviews, or the trending hashtags. What she wanted deep down was something far simpler. Peace. Love. A family that felt whole. A sense of control over a life that had often spun out of her grasp. When 1000 Elb Sisters first aired, fans saw Amy as the bubbly dreamer, the one who wanted to get healthy, have a baby, and start fresh. And when that dream came true, when she finally held her first son, Gage, in her arms, it felt like victory not just for her, but for everyone who had ever rooted for her. But life has a way of reminding us that happy endings are rarely endings at all. They're just pauses between new storms. After Gage came little Glenn, another light in her world, another reason to smile through the exhaustion. Yet behind those bright moments, the cracks in her marriage to Michael Halterman began to widen. At first, it was the small things. Quiet arguments, unseen tension, the kind of emotional drift that happens when two people love each other but start walking in different directions. And then, the silence. The silence that fills a house once full of laughter. The silence that makes you wonder if love itself has an expiration date. For Amy, it wasn't just a breakup. It was the unraveling of the life she'd spent years trying to build. Divorce isn't just paperwork, it's grief that wears no black clothes. It's loss that walks around pretending to be normal life. And in Amy's case, it was all happening in front of millions of viewers. Her heartbreak became hashtags. Her tears became thumbnails. Her pain became content. And yet, through it all, she didn't disappear. She didn't retreat from the public eye or hide behind silence. Instead, she did something most people wouldn't have the courage to do. She kept going. For her boys. For herself. For that small, stubborn belief that maybe, just maybe, joy still existed somewhere ahead. When Amy first mentioned a new man in her life, it wasn't a big announcement. No exclusive reveal. No overproduced TLC special. Just a subtle hint, a smile in a post, a caption that said more than words ever could. And that was all it took. The fandom ignited overnight. Fans who had once cheered for her healing were now split down the middle. Some saw it as a sign that Amy was moving forward, reclaiming her joy. Others saw danger, emotional déjà vu. She just got out of a marriage. Doesn't she need time to heal? Who is this guy? It's almost poetic how people who've never met her feel so protective, like distant cousins watching from behind screens. To them, Amy isn't just a celebrity, she's family. A sister they've laughed with, cried with, rooted for, and sometimes scolded like their own. But here's the thing no one seems to grasp. Healing doesn't look the same for everyone. Some people heal in solitude. Others heal in love. For Amy, it seems, healing meant believing again, even when believing came with risk. The internet detectives began their usual work, analyzing every photo, dissecting every emoji, comparing timestamps and locations like they were solving a national mystery. Reddit threads exploded, fan groups debated, TikTokers speculated, YouTubers theorized. Some called him charming. Others called him a red flag. Everyone called him news. And Amy? She just smiled, because while the world speculated, she was simply trying to breathe again, to laugh again, to find a reason to look forward, not backward. After all, how long can one live in the ruins of yesterday before stepping into tomorrow? Still, the whispers grew. Was it too soon? Was it love or loneliness? Was he there for her or for the fame? Each theory carried a grain of truth and a handful of cruelty. But what no one seemed to remember is that behind the pixels, Amy is human. A woman who's carried shame and strength in equal measure. A mother who wakes up to tiny voices calling mommy, who packs lunches, wipes tears, and still finds time to smile even when her world feels heavy. The Amy on screen is the same Amy off screen, flawed, funny, impulsive, loving, and endlessly forgiving. And maybe that's what scares people the most. She reminds them that being broken doesn't mean being unworthy. The irony is beautiful and brutal. When Amy was married and unhappy, the internet begged her to find her worth. Now that she's found it, they're asking her to slow down. It's as if the world loves her pain more than her peace. But Amy has changed. You can see it in her posture, in her smile, in the way her eyes don't dart away from the camera anymore. She's softer but stronger, gentler but wiser. There's a quiet confidence there, the kind that only comes from surviving your own heartbreak and realizing you're still standing. This isn't recklessness. It's rebirth, and whether her new man turns out to be her forever or just a chapter, he's part of her story, a story she's rewriting on her own terms. Still, the digital storm rages. Every post, every sighting becomes a talking point. Some defend her, some doubt her, and somewhere in the middle, Amy stands, calm, radiant, unbothered, because deep down she knows something the internet doesn't. You can't time healing. You can't schedule happiness. And you can't let strangers on a screen decide when your heart is ready to love again. For the first time in years, Amy seems free, not from the world, but from the weight of her own self-doubt. And that freedom shines brighter than any headline ever could. As the sun sets on another chaotic day online, Amy scrolls past the comments, past the noise, and stops at one simple message from a fan. Amy, you look happy. That's all that matters, and she smiles. Because maybe, for once, that's true. There are breakups. And then there are endings that echo through your bones. For Amy Slaton, divorce wasn't just a closed door. It was a house burning down around her while the world watched from their living rooms, popcorn in hand. It's one thing to lose love. It's another to lose it under the fluorescent lights of a reality show. People think heartbreak is loud, shouting, crying, dramatic scenes. But in truth, it's quiet. It's the sound of two toothbrushes in the same cup until one disappears. It's the silence of a bed that suddenly feels too big. It's your child asking why daddy doesn't live here anymore, and you have no answer that doesn't hurt. Amy had spent years trying to build a stable, loving family. She wanted the white picket fence dream, a home, laughter, a partner to share the small things with. She wasn't chasing fame or drama. She was chasing belonging. But life doesn't hand you peace just because you've earned it. Sometimes it tests how badly you want it. Her marriage to Michael Halterman began with real love. They shared dreams, jokes, simple joys, but as the cameras rolled and fame grew, something changed. The intimacy that once anchored them began to erode under pressure. Public life isn't natural. It magnifies everything. Small disagreements turn into public debates. Private pain becomes a headline. And when the weight of the world sits on your relationship, even love starts to bend. Amy didn't wake up one day and decide to leave. She woke up one day and realized she was already gone. There's a strange numbness that follows a breakup. That fog between heartbreak and healing where days blur into each other. Amy tried to hold herself together for her kids, to smile through the hurt. But grief has a way of showing itself even when you don't invite it. Fans saw snippets, Instagram posts that seemed off, quiet absences, cryptic captions. The tabloids ran with it. Amy Slaton's marriage in trouble. But what they didn't see were the nights she spent rocking Glenn to sleep, tears slipping down her cheeks silently so her babies wouldn't hear. They didn't see her scrolling through old pictures, wondering where the laughter went. It's easy to judge someone from the outside. It's harder to understand the cost of being strong in public. Behind every new post and new episode was a woman trying to rebuild herself from the inside out. Her heart was bruised, her confidence shaken, and yet she refused to disappear. After the divorce papers were filed, Amy went through a quiet metamorphosis. Not the flashy kind, no dramatic haircuts or revenge photo shoots, at least not yet. This was deeper, invisible. The kind of transformation that happens when you finally look in the mirror and see not your pain, but your survival. The first change was subtle, the way she carried herself. Less apologetic, more grounded. She started spending more time outdoors, taking the boys to parks, finding joy in the small routines of motherhood. For the first time in a long time, she was learning how to live for herself. Fans noticed. Her smile seemed different, lighter, realer. The jokes came back. The laughter, too. And yet behind it all, there was a quiet caution. The kind that comes from being hurt before. Love after heartbreak is a dangerous idea. It's tempting, intoxicating, and terrifying all at once. You want to believe again, but you also remember what it cost you last time. For Amy, trust wasn't just a leap. It was a climb out of her own fears. She'd loved deeply once and been left standing in the ruins. Could she risk that again? But life doesn't always wait for you to feel ready. Sometimes it sends someone across your path at the exact wrong time, and somehow that becomes the right time after all. It started simple. Messages, conversations, shared laughs. No grand romantic gestures, no paparazzi moments. Just connection. For someone like Amy, who'd spent years feeling like her story was already written, this new chapter felt both thrilling and terrifying. Was it fate? Coincidence? Or just two lonely hearts finding each other in the noise? When Amy's new relationship became public knowledge, it wasn't a planned reveal. It just happened. A smile caught in a photo. A shared dinner post. A moment too real to hide, and then, as if on cue, the online storm began. Social media doesn't forgive quickly. It doesn't forget easily. And it certainly doesn't mind judging without context. Some fans were thrilled. She deserves to be happy. Others were furious. It's too soon. And the harshest ones said what others only thought. She's making another mistake. It's strange how easily love becomes controversy when it's lived in public. Amy wasn't doing anything extraordinary of just loving. Laughing, moving forward. But in the world of reality TV, normal is never normal. Her boyfriend, once an unknown face, became a lightning rod for speculation. Every photo was dissected. Every expression analyzed. Fans debated his intentions. Was he in it for love or attention? Was he using her fame? Did he really care? And through it all, Amy said nothing. No defensive posts, no public statements. Just a quiet smile as if to say, let them talk. I know my truth. But truth, like love, is complicated. Amy's world isn't just about her anymore. It's about her sons. Gage and Glenn, her anchors, her reasons. Every decision she makes is filtered through the lens of motherhood. And so when fans questioned her timing, their concerns weren't entirely cruel. Some came from love, a protective instinct, a worry that the boys might get caught in emotional turbulence again. Parenting under the spotlight is like walking a tightrope in a hurricane. Every move is magnified. Every stumble becomes a headline. Still, Amy's determination never wavered. She was careful, deliberate. This time she wasn't rushing. This wasn't about replacing anyone. It was about rebuilding herself, piece by piece. Because sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is simply believe that love is still worth trying for. There's something poetic about Amy's evolution. Once defined by her weight, now defined by her growth. Once seeking validation, now seeking peace. Once afraid of being alone, now unafraid to choose herself. Her journey mirrors the kind of transformation people rarely celebrate. Not the kind you can see in a mirror, but the kind you feel in your soul. She's not just lighter in body. She's lighter in spirit. And yet the past never really disappears. Even as she smiles, there's a flicker in her eyes, a quiet reminder that pain, too, leaves a mark. That heartbreak never leaves you the same. It changes the way you love, the way you trust, the way you breathe. But maybe that's okay. Maybe that's how you grow. Late at night, when the boys are asleep and the world is quiet, Amy probably scrolls through her phone like anyone else. Old photos, forgotten messages, moments frozen in time. There's nostalgia there, maybe even sorrow, but also gratitude. Because every mistake, every wound, every tear brought her here and here, in this imperfect, unpredictable, beautifully messy present. She's learning to love again. Not because she needs to, but because she wants to. That's the difference. That's the growth. That's the power. Reality TV rarely gives its stars grace. It thrives on chaos, edits drama into narrative, and sells heartbreak like it's popcorn. But what viewers sometimes forget is that behind every headline, there's a human being trying to live an ordinary life in extraordinary circumstances. Amy Slaton isn't perfect. She's impulsive, emotional, sometimes misunderstood, but she's also resilient, kind, and unapologetically real. And that's exactly why people can't stop watching. Not because she's flawless, but because she's relatable. She cries the way they cry. She struggles the way they struggle. She loves the way they love. Hard, messy, all in. And maybe that's what makes her story matter. Not the fame, not the show, but the truth underneath it all. That even when the world watches your every move, your heart still beats quietly, stubbornly, for love. As the days pass and new rumors fade, Amy keeps moving forward. Not perfectly, not fearlessly, but honestly. And that honesty, that raw, unfiltered humanness, is her real redemption arc. Because love after heartbreak isn't about replacing someone. It's about rebuilding yourself. You can't control when love shows up. And you sure as hell can't control how people react when it does. When I first met him, it wasn't supposed to be anything serious. I wasn't looking for love, not after everything I'd just been through. I was still figuring out who I was without the noise of everyone else's opinions. But somehow his presence brought calm. That rare kind of peace that sneaks up on you when you've forgotten what peace even feels like. He didn't come with grand promises or flowery words. He just showed up. He listened. He asked about my boys before he asked about the show. He didn't flinch at my past, the weight loss journey, the family drama, the heartbreak. He saw me. And for the first time in a long time, that felt enough. But peace never lasts long when you live under a camera lens. The moment the world caught wind of my new relationship, everything changed. It started small, a few curious comments under a post, a couple of fan pages guessing who he was. Then within days it became a wildfire. Screenshots, threads, theories, even videos analyzing every smile, every glance. People had opinions. So many opinions. He looks fake. He's using her. He's not right for her. She's rushing again. It was strange, watching strangers dissect a life they didn't live, a love they didn't feel. Some defended me, bless them. Others acted like they knew me better than I knew myself. I could have stayed quiet. I could have turned off the comments, deleted the photos, hidden away. But that's not who I am anymore. Silence used to be my safe place. Now it just feels like surrender. So I smiled. I posted, I laughed. And I loved, not for the world, but in spite of it. There's something about fame that makes people forget you're human. You become a story they can rewrite however they want. 1 minute, you're an inspiration. The next, you're a headline. I'd scroll through posts. Strangers arguing about my choices, my timing, even my worth. Some said I was desperate, others said I was careless. But none of them knew what those lonely nights felt like after the cameras stopped rolling. None of them saw me picking up toys, cleaning bottles, trying to fill a house that had gone too quiet. Maybe they never will. And maybe that's okay, because while they were busy talking, I was busy healing. My new relationship wasn't perfect. No relationship is. But it was real. And that's what mattered. He made me laugh again. Reminded me I was more than a storyline. More than the sister. He told me I was Amy. Messy, loud, emotional, strong Amy. And that was enough. But the internet doesn't do peace. It thrives on chaos. And soon the questions began to turn into accusations. Why is he in so many of her videos now? Didn't she say she wanted to focus on her kids? This is all for attention. I tried to brush it off. I really did. But no matter how thick your skin gets, there are nights when the words slip through the cracks. Then came the stories. People pretending to know him. Old acquaintances coming out of nowhere, twisting facts, selling sources to gossip blogs. That's the ugly side of reality fame. You don't just live your truth. You have to fight for it again and again. He told me not to read it. He said, let them talk. They don't know us, and maybe he was right. But when your name trends for the wrong reasons, when every scroll brings another stranger's opinion of your life, it's hard to stay numb. What hurt most wasn't the criticism. It was the doubt it tried to plant. That quiet whisper that says, what if they're right? Because after everything I'd been through, the weight battles, the heartbreak, the judgment, I'd learned one painful truth. The hardest thing to rebuild after you lose it isn't your body. It's your trust. There were moments I wanted to walk away from it all. Not just the relationship, but the spotlight, the cameras, the endless cycle of being everyone's open book. The endless cycle of being everyone's open book. But then I'd look at my kids, those little faces full of curiosity and love, and I'd remember why I keep going. They deserve a mom who doesn't give up. They deserve to see what it looks like to fall and still choose to rise. And so, I stayed strong. Not for the haters, not for the fans, but for them. Because no matter what anyone says, I know who I am. I know what I've survived. And I know that every scar has earned its place. As the weeks went by, the noise started to shift. Some fans softened, seeing the happiness in my eyes that no script could fake. Others doubled down, convinced this was all for show. But I stopped trying to prove anything. I realized something important. People will believe what they want to believe. My job isn't to change their minds. My job is to live my truth. He's met my family now. The good, the chaotic, the brutally honest. And if you've watched 1000 LB Sisters, you know that's no small test. Tammy gave him the classic, I'll be watching you stare. Amanda didn't hold back. She asked him straight up if he was ready for the circus that comes with our last name. Even Chris, usually the quiet observer, couldn't help but tease, you sure you know what you're getting into, man? And to his credit, he didn't flinch. He smiled, said, I'm here for her, not the fame. And that meant everything. Because in my world, love doesn't just have to survive emotions, it has to survive public opinion. And so far, we're still standing. The fans who've followed me since day one, they know my heart. They've seen me at my lowest, cheered me at my best, and sometimes scolded me when I needed it. I get it. They're protective. They don't want to see me hurt again. And I can't blame them. I've been hurt enough for all of us. But I also want them to know this. Healing isn't always slow. Sometimes love is the medicine. Sometimes new beginnings come wrapped in risk, and that's okay. I'm not trying to replace anyone. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just trying to live again. I know the internet will keep talking. It always does. But here's the truth they never write about. Behind every rumor, behind every screenshot, behind every source close to the family, there's just me. A mom trying to do her best. A woman trying to love again. A human being trying to find peace in a world that profits off her pain. And honestly, I'm tired of apologizing for being human. So I'll keep posting my pictures. I'll keep smiling with my kids. I'll keep loving out loud, even if it makes some people uncomfortable. Because for once, I'm not living to please anyone else. I'm living to feel whole again. The truth is, people only see the highlights, the Instagram smiles, the funny clips, the show edits. They don't see the work behind it all. The therapy, the nights of doubt, the conversations that end in tears but start in honesty. Healing isn't linear. Love isn't easy. But both are worth it, so let them speculate. Let them guess. Let them project their fears. Because while they're busy watching, I'm busy growing. And maybe, just maybe, that's what scares them the most. That after everything I've lost, I still have the courage to choose happiness. There's a strange silence that comes after the noise dies down. After the rumors fade, after the comments slow, after the world finds a new story to pick apart, you'd think peace would follow. But peace doesn't come easy when you've lived half your life as a headline. I remember sitting on my porch one night after putting the boys to bed. The air was still, heavy with that Kentucky humidity that makes the world feel too close. My phone buzzed with notifications, articles, tags, screenshots, all of it more noise pretending to be truth. And I thought, this is what it costs. Not fame, not fortune, but this, the feeling of being misunderstood by a world that never knew your name before the cameras showed up. People see our show and think they know the whole story. They see our laughter, our fights, our tears, but they don't see the moments after. The cleanup, the reflection, the hours where you sit alone wondering if you should have said less or more or nothing at all. The spotlight doesn't just illuminate. It burns, and the closer you stand to it, the more it asks of you. My family has always been brutally honest, and that's our love language. So when the news of my new relationship started swirling, I braced myself. Tammy was the first to bring it up. We were sitting in her living room, the oxygen machine humming quietly in the corner, her little dog curled beside her. She looked at me and said, "You happy?" No judgment, no sarcasm, just that one question. I nodded, maybe too quickly. She watched me for a long moment, then said, "Then that's all that matters. But make sure he knows he's not just dating you. He's dating the world watching you. And I swear, I felt that." Because she was right. In our world, love doesn't get to be private. Every smile becomes evidence. Every argument becomes breaking news. Even silence gets analyzed, as if quiet means something's wrong. Amanda, on the other hand, didn't hold back. She said, "Girl, I just don't want you hurt again. You've been through hell, and I'll be damned if I see you cry over another man who can't handle your shine." Her words weren't soft, but they were true. That's Amanda for you. Love that comes wrapped in warning labels. Chris was quieter. He just looked at me, smiled a little, and said, "You look lighter. Amy, that's good to see." Sometimes that's all the approval you need. Not a speech, not advice, just a simple acknowledgement that you're doing better. But not everyone in the family took it the same way. Some worried the attention would drag us back into chaos. Others worried about the kids, whether this was the right time for me to be focusing on anything besides motherhood, and I get it. They've seen me fall before. They don't want to watch it happen again, but what they don't always see is that falling isn't always failure. Sometimes it's just the next step in the climb, because this isn't the same Amy from 5 years ago, the one who hid behind her weight, her fears, her doubts. This is a woman who's lived through public humiliation, heartbreak, postpartum depression, and still gets up every single morning to make breakfast for her boys. I've learned something from every wound. Every heartbreak carved a lesson into me. And this time, I'm walking into love with eyes open. Not naive, not reckless, just real. But the internet doesn't forget. No matter how much you grow, someone's always there to drag you back to your past. Every time I posted a picture, me smiling, hair different, outfit new, the comments would flood in. She looks happy. But for how long? She always does this before it goes bad again. She needs to focus on herself. And you know what? They're right, I am focusing on myself. That's exactly what love is supposed to help you do. Real love doesn't take away from your healing. It expands it. But the internet doesn't speak the language of compassion. It speaks in snapshots and assumptions. It speaks in algorithms that feed on outrage. So when I laughed too loudly, they said I was faking. When I went quiet, they said I was hiding something. When I smiled, they said I was performing. That's the curse of living in public. People start confusing your truth for their entertainment. There was one night that broke me a little. A post went viral, a gossip page twisting my pictures into a cruel headline. I tried to ignore it, but curiosity is a dangerous thing. I clicked, I read. And for a moment, it felt like all the air left the room. They weren't just talking about me. They were talking about my kids. Calling me names, questioning my motherhood, judging every choice I'd made. That's when it hit me. It's not the hate that hurts most. It's the helplessness, knowing you can't protect your truth from people who've already decided not to see it. I cried that night. Not out of weakness, but exhaustion. You can only carry so many opinions before your own starts to feel small. But then, something shifted. My little boy woke up from a nightmare, came running into my arms, and said, "Mommy, you okay?" And just like that, the noise went quiet. Because in that moment, I remembered who I was fighting for. Not followers, not fans, not strangers scrolling past. For them, for us. The next morning, I decided to take control again. I turned my phone off. I made pancakes. We went outside and played until the sun went down. No filters. No edits, no audience. Just life. And it was beautiful. That's when I realized fame might have given me a platform, but it also tried to take away my peace. And I refuse to let it win. I'm still learning how to live in both worlds, the real and the public. But maybe that's what strength looks like now, not pretending everything's fine, but learning to stand even when the spotlight burns. Every day, I get messages from women who say, "Amy, you inspire me. You show us that it's okay to start over." And I think, if that's what my journey does, then all the pain was worth it. Because I want people to know that healing doesn't mean you stop hurting. It just means you stop letting the hurt define you. I'm still healing, still learning, still growing, But most importantly, I'm still here, and that to me is victory. Now, when I look at the reflection in the mirror, the new hair, the softer eyes, the smile that doesn't feel forced anymore, I see more than a makeover. I see a rebirth. I see a woman who walked through fire and didn't lose her light. Maybe that's why people are reacting so strongly to my new look. It's not just the hair or the style, it's the energy, the confidence, the quiet power that says, I've survived worse. I used to think I needed to prove myself to the world, to make them see the good in me. Now I realize I only need to prove it to one person, myself. I only need to prove it to one person, myself. So if you're watching this, if you followed my story, if you've ever been judged for growing, I want you to hear this. You don't owe anyone the old version of you. Not your family, not your past, not your audience. You are allowed to outgrow the person they remember. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them misunderstand, because at the end of the day, peace isn't found in their approval. It's found in your truth. That's what this new chapter is about for me. Not revenge, not attention, not even redemption. Just peace, the kind that comes quietly without applause. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that says, I'm finally okay being me. Morning light filters through the thin curtains, and for once, Amy doesn't rush. The world outside still hums with gossip, hashtags, and half-truths, but inside her small house, everything moves slow. The boys' laughter spills down the hallway, cartoons echo in the background, and a smell of coffee fills the air. It's simple. And maybe that's what she was chasing all along. Not fame, not romance, not even redemption, just a kind of peace that doesn't need permission. Because somewhere between heartbreak and healing, she realized you don't have to erase your past to build your future. You just have to stop letting it own you. There was a time when every mistake became a headline, every tear a meme. But now she knows the power of silence. The beauty of saying nothing, just living. She posts less now. She shares less. Not because she's hiding, but because she's finally protecting her peace. It's a strange freedom. Learning that not everything sacred needs to be seen. The internet can debate her choices, rewrite her story, or question her motives. But they don't get to own her narrative anymore. Amy's voice has changed. Softer maybe, but stronger too. Not trembling like it used to, not filled with apology. It carries the kind of calm that comes only after chaos. When you've lived your heartbreak publicly, you learn to rebuild privately. And that's what she's doing. Brick by brick, choice by choice, therapy sessions, morning walks, journals filled with gratitude instead of self-doubt. She's discovering the quiet rhythm of her own life again. She laughs now, genuinely, not because someone told her to, not because a camera's rolling. Just because her son did something silly, or because the day feels lighter than yesterday. That's what healing looks like. Not perfection, but presence. Her new relationship still makes headlines, but she doesn't chase the narrative. Love, she's learned, isn't a public event. It's a daily decision to trust, to forgive, to grow. There are still arguments, insecurities, and long talks at midnight. But this time, she doesn't lose herself inside the relationship. This time, she keeps her own name, her own dreams, her own ground. She no longer measures love by how loud it is, but by how safe it feels. Because she's been through the kind of love that leaves scars, and the kind that teaches her what real love isn't. Now she's learning what real love is. It's not grand gestures or perfect pictures. It's someone who holds your hand when you're quiet. Someone who sees the tired behind your smile and stays anyway. Someone who says, you don't have to be strong all the time. Her fans notice it too. The glow, the ease, the calm behind her eyes. It's not the sparkle of newness, it's the warmth of peace. Some still criticize. That's inevitable. But others, thousands of women, mothers, and fighters, they see themselves in her. They message her things like, thank you for showing us it's okay to start over. You remind me that I can love again, too. You make me feel less alone. And those words, those real connections, they mean more than any headline ever. Could sometimes she sits in the car after dropping her kids off and just breathes. No cameras, no producers, no script, just Amy and the quiet. She looks in the mirror and whispers, you made it, not you made it like fame. You made it, like survival. Because she remembers the nights when she thought she wouldn't. When the weight of expectations, motherhood, and heartbreak felt unbearable. When the internet turned cruel and she questioned her worth, but she didn't break. She bent, she adapted, she rebuilt. And now she stands stronger than ever, not because life got easier, but because she got wiser. There's a powerful thing that happens when a woman stops living for other people's approval. The fear fades, the guilt fades, the noise fades. What remains is truth. Amy's truth isn't glamorous, but it's real. She's not pretending to be perfect. She's not pretending to be healed. She's simply saying, I'm still becoming. And that's the most honest thing anyone can say. She knows people will keep talking. That's the price of living in the public eye. But she's no longer angry about it, because for every critic, there's someone watching quietly, learning that it's okay to rise again after being broken. If she can be that reminder, even for one person, then every painful headline was worth it. She's not ashamed of her story anymore. It may be messy, loud, and imperfect, but it's hers. And that makes it beautiful. There's this one quote she keeps taped on her mirror. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. And she has. She lost her marriage, her comfort, her privacy, and sometimes her confidence. But in return, she found something far more valuable. Self-respect. She found the strength to walk away from what no longer serves her. She found the courage to love again, even after heartbreak. She found peace in imperfection. That's the real transformation. Not the weight loss, not the new hair, not the headlines. It's the inner evolution no one can film. When she steps outside now, she carries that peace with her. In the way she talks, in the way she laughs, in the way she no longer explains herself. She's no longer chasing before and after. She's living in the during, because real change isn't a moment. It's a lifetime of small choices that say, I'm not giving up. The camera crews will come back again. There will be new episodes, new rumors, new storylines. But this time, Amy's not afraid. Because now she knows the difference between being filmed and being seen. And that difference, that sacred space between exposure and authenticity, that's where her power lives. Someday, when her boys are older, they'll ask about all of it. The show, the headlines, the fame, and she'll smile and say, it was wild. It was hard. But it made me who I am. And maybe they'll understand what it means to fall publicly but rise privately. To be broken yet unashamed. To keep choosing love, even when the world laughs. That's what she'll teach them. Not how to be perfect, but how to be brave. So here's the truth about Amy Slaton. She's not just a reality TV star. She's not just a mother or a headline or a transformation story. She's a woman who refused to stay small after the world tried to shrink her. She's a living reminder that redemption isn't a miracle. It's a decision. A decision to try again, to love again, to believe again. And maybe that's what her whole story was meant to show. Not how to be flawless, but how to keep standing when everything falls apart. The world may remember her for the show, but the people who truly see her will remember her for her heart. Because even when everything around her changed, Amy never lost her kindness. She just learned to give it to herself first. And that's the real happy ending. That's the real happy ending.